What is up, everybody? It's your boy Corn. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and get into this NXT situation, because the other day I'm looking at this exact same screenshot. Obviously, I can't show the clip and everything because, copyright and everything. But just taking a look at this screenshot, what does this tell you about the state of NXT? What tells you? What about this tells you that NXT is going to be going to new places, new heights? NXT is the show to watch. Nothing about this. Yeah, a cosign from John Cena. John Cena has been making some pretty bad decisions ever since that happy tap against Gunther back in December. So I would really tread lightly on trying to get John Cena to endorse this guy, Mason Rook. And again, nothing against this guy in particular, but this just like looking at the screenshot, watching the clip. If you guys have seen the two clips, the two times we've seen Mason Rook on our screens, Will Washington, definitely not him. Wade Barrett said even when this guy ran in the ring and beat up Tony D'Angelo and old dude, Wade Barrett even said, "Is this a fan? Is this a fan? Is it a fan?" Now, that should tell you everything you need to know about not only what they think about Mason Rook, formerly known as Will Cruz, but that should tell you what they think about NXT. Because the fact that you had him bum rush your NXT champion, your number one guy, the guy is supposed to be the face of the company, or at least of the brand, of course. If you were really good at your job, if you were really good at putting yourself over, if they were really good at showcasing Mason Rook these two times, then you wouldn't need a cosign from John Cena. That's just my own personal opinion. Because if you look at the different stages of NXT, right? We went from, Seth Rollins, obviously Seth Rollins, Big E, Jinder Mahal, all three former world champions, by the way. Other notable names from NXT. Drew McIntyre, even though Drew McIntyre was in WWE before becoming NXT champion and all other stuff, but still, NXT, Drew McIntyre. A guy that was on the main roster, a guy that was an Intercontinental champion, a guy that left the company, fired from the company, comes back. Completely new look, by the way. Got better in the ring, got himself over on the mic, and still was humble enough to say, you know what, I don't know the whole situation between him and his contract and whatever, and maybe he had to go to NXT, I don't know. But the fact that he went to NXT and spent all that time down there and became champion, Drew McIntyre. Like, don't be mistaken. This isn't a Mason Rook video. This isn't me sitting up here for, however long, 10 or so minutes, bagging on Will Cruz or Mason Rook, whatever you want to call him. This ain't that. I hope he does well. I wish him the best. But this is still a slap in the face to NXT fans. This is still a slap in the face to wrestling fans in general. I was just watching MLP the other night, Maple Leaf Pro, which, by the way, even though I even did a video on it a couple years ago, their first women's champion is a dude cosplaying as a chick. And still, that company, their show that I just watched the other night, more entertaining than what I've been watching on NXT lately. But they were so much in a rush to put Io Dragunov, to put Carmelo Hayes, to put Ethan Payne. And look, hats off to all those guys. But do you not think that they could be doing more in NXT? And let's just say, you know what? Let's just play devil's advocate. Korn, they're all on TV right now. 100%. I get it. You're 100% right. Indeed. But what about the people that aren't on TV? Didn't they used to bring them down to NXT and help elevate NXT superstars? Didn't they do that for to help get ratings back up? Even though I still don't agree with that. I think you're gonna bring somebody back down to. Well, I don't want to say back down to NXT, but if you want to bring somebody over to NXT and help get other people over, I would say it needs to be months at a time, not just a one-off or one little pay-per-view and then they go back up. No, I think they need to be down there for quite some time. You mean to tell me that Motor City Machine Guns couldn't have benefited from NXT, from being on NXT TV? And then going to the main roster, and then maybe we could have been looking at them in a different light. And we weren't even looking at them in a different light when they debuted either, by the way. I know a lot of people are like, oh, who are these guys? I'm like, well, I already knew who Motor City Machine Guns was. All right, Motor City Machine Guns were. But for the people that didn't know who they were, damn, wouldn't it have been nice for them to go down to NXT and blow the roof off for a few months? Get more eyes on them and then go to the main roster? Look, great debuts and look, so far, great careers that these guys from NXT, guys and gals from NXT have been having. Sol Ruka, Lyra Valkyria, Tiffany Stratton, Ethan Page getting some time now on TV. Carmelo Hayes, United States champion. Trick Williams, United States champion. Ilya Dragunov. Javon Evans on TV time and an Intercontinental title dispute right now. So, I mean, look, man, at the end of the day, Obafemi, who just retired Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. So, I'm not saying that what they're doing with the NXT people that they moved up lately has been bad, because it hasn't. They've been getting their time. They've been getting their licks in. They've been getting more experience. And they've been gaining more fans and more of a following. And their stories are being told. Great. But what about NXT? What about the place that you left? What about the place where you have so many guys and gals that are trying to develop that now nobody knows what the fuck they're doing? Tony D'Angelo, yes, he's been there for a long time down in NXT. Hats off to Tony D'Angelo. But I'm going to tell you this. Tony D cannot carry NXT. Tony D is not going to move the needle. Tony D is not Johnny Gargano. Tony D is not Finn Balor. Tony D is not Samoa Joe. Tony D is not Kevin Owens. Tony D is not Drew McIntyre. Nor is Tony D Andrade Cien Almas. Definitely not Aleister Black. Definitely not Sami Zayn. You guys see where I'm going with this? Dark State, who is like, I don't even know if they're trying to like completely rip off the Shield. I have no idea. But that's been going on for way too long. I don't know why Dark State is still a fucking thing. And then we get back to Mason Rook. The cherry on top of the shit cake. You decided to have John Cena co-sign on this shit. You decided to have John Cena co-sign on a dude that looks like my old neighbor that used to brush his teeth in his front yard. And if he don't look like that nigga, he look like the butch in a lesbian relationship. And on top of that, he's British. Bruh. We got to stop with all these fat dudes and making them, trying to make them superstars just because they can do a moonsault. We got too many 350-pound motherfuckers in the wrestling business right now that can do a moonsault. And now it's like, oh yeah, well, let's go ahead and make him, let's make him feud with the world champion. Like, bruh, I'm telling you, bruh. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I've watched a Mason or Will Cruz match. I haven't. I don't really care to. Because now he's at NXT. Now they have a chance to show us what he's got. But I'm telling you right now, this has already put a bad taste in my mouth. Where is all the testosterone in NXT? Where are the real men? This is ridiculous. You got a dude that looks like a confused 15-year-old, overweight 15-year-old, who should be playing guard on an O-line rather than in a wrestling ring. Or I guess over there they don't have real football. They call it soccer football over there. So play rugby or some shit. I don't know, nigga, man. But NXT, man, has fallen so hard, bro. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. So I tweeted this out after seeing this clip, and I said, they're quickly turning Cena into a fraud. This was after the whole Cena comes out during Backlash and announces the title that you don't even have to win, so you can lose your match, but the fans will still vote you as a champion. So make that make sense. It doesn't. Then we go to this post. Somebody says, WWE may have found a multi-dimensional star in Mason Rook, the next face of WWE. Roars like Kevin Owens. X to doubt. Physique like Brock Lesnar. Like, this is straight rage bait. Flies like Jeff Hardy. Like, straight up rage bait. Straight up rage bait. That's why I said this has to be sarcasm, right? Right. And speaking of Kevin Owens, somebody said if you were on Twitter back then, you'd hear the same. You'd hear the same said about Kevin Owens when he started in WWE. So this is when I had to reply back to this, and I said I was on Twitter back then, and all we said was that he was fat. Facts. He was still intimidating, believable, and actually had this thing called aura. But go off, sis. Because here's the thing. When Kevin Owens debuted, I remember it like it was yesterday. Sitting there and watching on WWE Network. Sami Zayn wins the NXT Championship. Kevin Owens comes out there. Oh, well, he didn't debut, but you know what I mean? He had the whole turn or whatever. We got to see the real vicious side of Kevin Owens. KO came out there and attacked Sami Zayn. And that's when you got to see the real Kevin Owens. Like the real, rambunctious, aggressive, off the wall type character, right? Kevin Owens. I'm not going to say he was in a league of his own, but he's definitely one of a kind, like at least at the time. Now you got a bunch of guys that are just like Kevin Owens. Shaped like him, act like him, sound like him. The thing about Kevin Owens, though, that people don't want to understand is, one, and again, yeah, you could probably make the similarities that, yeah, he came from the Indies as well, came from, the Ring of Honors of the world, PWG and all that. And then Mason Rook coming from where the fuck he came from in the UK. But at the end of the day, Kevin Owens has 100 times more aura than fucking Mason Rook. So far in the 2 appearances that we've seen from Mason Rook, not so much. Not so much. Yeah, so were we on Twitter saying that Kevin Owens was fat? Absolutely. That's all we said. I was like, oh, man, who the fuck is this fat dude? Like, fat-ass Kevin Owens? And at the time, people were kind of speculating. They were like, is it Kevin Steen? And again, they changed his name like a few days later to Kevin Owens. But I remember that. KO debuted, then he turned on Sami Zayn, and all that whole stuff happened. And that was great. That catapulted, that kind of launched Kevin Owens' career, his WWE career. Became NXT champion later on. Debuted on Raw. Answered the Open Challenge, the U.S. Open Challenge for John Cena as the NXT champion at the time. So, it was great, man. That was a great time to be an NXT fan. That was a great time to watch all the takeovers. And then you get to, pretty much fast forward 10 years later and you got Mason Rook. So of all the guys you have on your NXT roster, and you got this fucking nobody that shows up, and now all of a sudden we want to act like we're credible. Now we want to act like NXT is like, bruh, they are going overboard with promoting this guy. It is ridiculous. You're not going to convince me, NXT. You're not going to convince me that Mason Rook is the next guy. And then we get to this part. And again, I can't even play it. But in this video, in this clip, you hear them, the NXT shills, essentially. And this is week number 2. So this is the second time this dude appears now. You didn't hear anything the week before in his first appearance. Not a single fucking chant was chanted when Mason Rook arrived in NXT. But then you get to week number 2, and now all of a sudden people are acting like they know his fucking, they know his chant. So I had to reply to Val Venus on this one. I said, the NXT crowd are paid shills. No way anyone would know his phrases and not have chanted them last week, but somehow know every word this week. Now, to some of you, that may be a stretch, but to me, it's not. It's just called speculation. It's called, how come people want to act like they know who the fuck this nobody is this week? But last week, people were like, oh, who was that? Oh, is that a fan? Oh, that's a woman? Or is that a man? Nobody knew. Now, all of a sudden, these motherfuckers want to act like they know the fucking chant. I'm like, bro, come the fuck on, man. Come on. Can we stop it? Can y'all just admit y'all don't know who this is and y'all don't like it? Stop acting like you love every fucking thing that they feed you. This is pretty funny. Shout out to Mr. Grizzly, by the way. he was talking about the Disney adults, right? And I found this as a way to make a cheap shot at NXT and Mason Rook. Paul Walter Hauser, the king of horrible fucking takes, especially when it comes to wrestling. He says, Mason Rook, you can't just let him keep Will Cruz. Are we still calling Pete Dunne Butch and blah blah whatever? He's just bitching and complaining per usual about nothing. When I bitch and complain, it's for the love of the game. It's because I actually care. Paul Walter Hauser, another fat piece of shit that literally sits on Twitter and complains about everything under the sun. Some of those complaints are valid, especially when it comes to the movie industry. But when it comes to wrestling, stop it. Stop it, bro. Anyways, I think there's bigger problems with this guy other than his name. So again, shout out to Paul Walter Hauser. And then this is the last thing I'm going to say about NXT. Because you got Tatum Paxley, you got the new Lizzie chick, and then you got Zarya. And they just had a completely horrible fucking story between Zarya and Sol Ruka a couple weeks ago. And that ended horribly. Don't even get me started on that. Tatum Paxley, looking fine as usual. And you got this new Lizzie chick who is also, well, no, she's not British. She's, I think she's Aussie. Oh, she dresses like, and I think she's like related to like a famous rock band member or something like that. And cool, good for her. And hopefully she gets better at NXT. But like the entire time she was talking on the mic last week, I'm just sitting here like, when is this over? When is this whole fucking segment over? NXT has a lot of shit they got to do to get me back on board, man. Because over the past few months, I know I've had my qualms with Raw and SmackDown. I've already stated them here on this channel. But when it comes to NXT has always been like that safe haven, like that safety net for me, where it's like, okay, Monday's shit, Friday's shit. I don't watch AEW anymore because that's always been shit. NXT has always been that show where it's like, all right, it's either going to be like really good or it's going to be meh. Now it's not even meh. It's like, bro, this is SmackDown Junior. It's like half of these segments and half of the people that they're showing on screen, I'm like, why are we getting this? Why are we getting these stupid characters that we're getting? Like, y'all want to change names so much, but y'all don't want to change gimmicks. Y'all don't want to change characters. They did well with Tony D'Angelo. But they can't do it with these people now, and they're really, really bad at not changing the women. Rhea Ripley still has the best transition. Even though I'm not a huge Rhea Ripley fan. I'm a Rhea Ripley fan. I like her. I'm not a huge Rhea Ripley fan. But one thing you can say about Rhea Ripley is that look at when she came into the WWE. I think it was during that, what was it, the Women's Classic or whatever it was? Or it may have been the UK Classic. I can't remember. But way back, I want to say like around like 10 or so years ago, Rhea Ripley debuted in WWE, like in NXT UK. Completely different look than what she looks like now and what she's been looking like for the past 6 or 7 years. NXT, you've got a lot of work to do to get people like me back on board. That's all I got to say. Now, this ain't me just saying, oh, NXT's shitty. It's always going to be shitty, blah, blah, but we've seen this coming. They didn't want to hold Ethan Page down at NXT. They didn't want to hold or keep Carmelo Hayes. They didn't want to keep Ilya Dragunov. Trick Williams, too big of a star. Obafemi, too big of a star. Javon Evans, you definitely could have kept in NXT. But again, you had no backup plan when you let all those guys go. Shawn Michaels or whoever else's fault this is, shame on you. Because now Tuesdays are now going to be called vacant. Not, oh yeah, let me watch NXT tonight. Nah, dog. Nah. No, thank you. I don't know, man. Hopefully NXT gets better. But there's a reason why Stand and Deliver was not on WrestleMania weekend this year. And even though TKO is, changing all this shit up and whatever, bruh, it's a mystery. It's a mystery as to whether NXT will ever be good again or not. I don't know. But you got the weirdo fucking fans in the crowd. I mean, it is Orlando, so you're going to have those. The crowd's one thing. But the actual show, it's like, bro, you got to do something different. You got to do something different. Because the same old shit formula that you've been doing with subpar superstars and decent wrestlers, that's one thing. You've got nothing left in NXT in terms of superstars right now. And your best thing that you want to put out is, and the one thing you want to continue to promote is Mason Rook. Yeah, I don't know, man. Let me know what you guys think. Hit that like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Am I overreacting? Let me know in the comments. It's your boy Corn, and I am disappointed.